for my channel, The Mental Traveler. I'm Caro Herrera, and today I'm going to be reviewing a book called Zoya. It was written by Danielle Steel and published in 1988. And before I begin, let me just say that this will be a spoiler-free video, so you can sit back and enjoy. Okay, so I can't remember the first time that I became aware of this story, but I've always loved period dramas. So at one point as a kid or as a teenager, I discovered this TV movie from 1995 called Zoya, which starred Melissa Gilbert, David Warner, Diana Rigg, Jennifer Garner, Samuel West, among others, and I recall that I must have watched it once or twice through the years. I can't recall the last time that I saw it before my latest rewatch for this review, but I had these vague images of what the story was about, but it was never one of my favorite films or anything to even really remember it that well. Moving on, over a decade ago, when I was starting my first days in high school, I met this guy called George, who seemed a bit odd, and when he discovered that I loved to read, I remember perfectly that he was sitting right before me, and he turned around, he leaned really close to my face, and he said that he loved reading too, and he recommended me a book called The Wheel of Desire. Well, I am afraid to say that I found him odd, as I said, because the title sounded really weird, and I am a bit of a book snob, so ever since then I've thought of Danielle Steel as an author that writes books that I really wouldn't care to read. Still, I would like to say though that George quickly became my best friend, and we've been sidekicks ever since 2009, and he actually has a really great literary taste, but I still love to tease him about the first book he ever recommended to me. Anyways, fast forward, at one point I must have discovered that Danielle Steel was the author of Zoya. I can't remember how or why, but back in the spring of 2021, I remember the story of Zoya and for no particular reason, decided it was high time I got over myself and gave the novel a try. Figuring out that if I was meant to read a Danielle Steel book before I died, at least it should be one that interested me rather than just The Wheel of Desire. And please, I have absolutely no idea what that latter novel is about. Don't judge me too hardly, even though I'm judging that book by its title. I shall read the Goodreads summary because I really like it. Against the backdrop of the Russian Revolution and World War I, Zoya, young cousin of the Tsar, flees St. Petersburg to Paris to find safety. Her entire world forever changed, she faces hard times and joins the Ballet Russe in Paris. And then, when life is kind to her, Zoya moves on to a new and glittering life in New York. The days of ease are all too brief as the depression strikes, and she loses everything yet again. It is her career and the man she meets in the course of it which ultimately save her, and she rebuilds her life through the war years and beyond. And it is her family that comes to mean everything to her. From the roaring 20s to the 1980s, Zoya remains a rare and spirited woman whose legacy will live on. I must confess that I initially also wanted to review the adaptation because it's right here on YouTube. But honestly, I started watching it and I just couldn't get into it. It looked to be a sort of faithful adaptation, but the fake Russian accents were just too distracting. And I couldn't really like the actress playing Zoya. I didn't think she looked young or pretty enough at the start. So in the end, I'm just gonna review the novel. I gave a 3.5 out of 5 stars review to the book. I liked it because it dealt with a lot of stuff that fascinates me, like the Romanov family in Paris, and I can almost imagine myself wanting to write something similar because of my love for these things and for historical fiction novels with a fascinating female protagonist. Still, I must confess that I got bored after Zoya first moved to the States and had to force myself to read the rest. The story in itself is not bad. There was something about the writing style that just didn't click for me. At times the author was just telling us rather than showing us, but still, the author did her job in the sense that she did as much research as she could have done back in the 80s about the Romanovs, cramming into the story little details like the fate of Pierre Gilliard, the tutor to the Romanov children. So I liked that and give her kudos for it. If they ever make another adaptation of Zoya, I might watch it, and if I like it, I'll review it. And I might even review it alongside the older version. But until then, I believe that this is all I have to say about this review. Thank you so much for watching it. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you did or if you didn't, as well as what are your own thoughts regarding Zoya, the historical figures and events it represents, the adaptation, other of Danielle Steel's works, if I am mistaken in assuming that Wheel of Desire is bad when it really isn't, anything that's relevant. Also, I'd like to say that in the description box below you can find a link to the book's Goodreads page. And well, I'm Caro Herrera, the Mental Traveler, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you're in the world. I'll be seeing you soon, take care, and goodbye!